The phone lit up in the dark, its glow cutting through the silence of my bedroom. One glance was enough to send a shiver down my spine. 31 missed calls. All from the same number. All from Mark. I didn't move at first. My hand stayed frozen above the screen, as if touching it would make the nightmare real. Mark was gone. I had buried him a year ago. I had stood beside his casket. I had watched the dirt cover it. I had whispered goodbye. And yet, his name was there. Repeated over and over, each missed call like a punch to the chest. I finally sat up, the sheets twisting around my legs. My throat was dry. The clock on the nightstand read 3:47 a.m. I tried to tell myself there was an explanation. Numbers get recycled. Phones glitch. But grief doesn't wait for logic. It claws at you, tearing down every wall you've built to survive. With shaking fingers, I pressed call back. The line rang once. Twice. Then someone answered. Breathing. Low. Steady. Unmistakably human. Hello. My voice came out thinner than I wanted. Who is this? The silence stretched. The breathing continued. And then, click. The call ended. I pulled the phone away, staring at the dark screen. My pulse thundered in my ears. I stood up, pacing across the room, trying to calm myself. But the funeral replayed in my mind. Mark's still face, the coffin, the way everyone avoided my eyes afterward. I gripped the edge of the dresser. If Mark was dead, someone was using his number. If he wasn't. The phone buzzed again in my hand. This time it wasn't a call. It was a message. Just 2 words. Pick up. My legs felt unsteady, and for a long moment I couldn't breathe. Was it possible Mark was alive, or was someone cruel enough to make me believe he was? The message burned on my screen. Pick up. My thumb hovered over the call icon. Every instinct screamed to delete it, block the number, and pretend it never happened. But my hand moved on its own, pressing the green button. The line clicked. At first, nothing, then his voice. Diane. I froze. It wasn't distorted, it wasn't mechanical. It was Mark. The same voice that used to wake me on Sunday mornings, the same voice that once whispered apologies when bills went unpaid. I gripped the phone tighter. Who are you? My voice cracked. This isn't funny. Mark is dead. A pause. A faint exhale. Then, I can explain. But you can't tell anyone I called. My body went rigid. I sank down onto the bed, clutching the phone against my ear. Explain? You had a funeral. I saw you lowered into the ground. Do you understand what you're saying? Listen to me, he said, urgency creeping into his tone. Things were bad back then. Worse than you knew. I had no choice. No choice. My voice rose. You left me with debts. You left me with nothing. And you want me to believe you just disappeared. Another long silence. Then, softer. They'll hurt you if they know I'm talking to you. The word they lodged in my chest. I wanted to demand names, but fear swallowed me. All I could hear was his breathing, uneven now, as if he was watching his back. Where are you? I whispered. Close, he said. Too close. I'll be in touch when it's safe. Don't. The line cut. I sat motionless, the phone still pressed to my ear even though the call had ended. My hands were damp, my heart racing so hard it ached. Could it really be him? And if it was, what did he mean by they? I forced myself up, walking to the kitchen. The apartment felt suddenly unsafe, every corner darker than before. I filled a glass with water, trying to steady myself. That's when I noticed movement through the blinds. A car sat across the street, engine off, but headlights faintly glowing. Too still. Too deliberate. My stomach dropped. I stepped back from the window, my pulse hammering. I told myself it was coincidence, just a neighbor. But when I checked again minutes later, the car hadn't moved. The next morning, I tried calling Mark's number again. It went straight to voicemail. I listened carefully. No greeting, just silence, and then the beep. I hung up, staring at my reflection in the black screen. For the first time since the funeral, I realized I didn't know what was real anymore. Had Mark faked his death? Was he being hunted? Or was I being pulled into something I didn't understand? That evening, when I returned home from work, there was a plain white envelope on my doorstep. No stamp. No address. Just my name, written in handwriting I hadn't seen in a year. Inside was a single sheet of paper. One line. They know you're looking for me. My knees nearly gave out. The envelope shook in my hands. I read the message again. They know you're looking for me. My eyes darted to the street. The car from the night before was gone, but the unease it left hadn't. Whoever they were, they wanted me to feel watched. I slid the note back inside, locked every door and window, and sat at the kitchen table staring at it. My chest tightened as I remembered Mark's warning, "Don't tell anyone I called." But the truth was, I couldn't carry this alone. I reached for my phone and dialed the one person who had stood by me during the worst year of my life, Claire, my older sister. She picked up after the second ring. "Diane? It's late. What's wrong?" My throat tightened. I wanted to tell her everything, the calls, the voice, the note. Instead, I said, "Do you ever feel like the past isn't finished with you?" Silence on her end, then a cautious reply. "This is about Mark, isn't it?" Her tone told me something. She wasn't surprised. "Claire," I pressed, "what do you know?" She sighed, long and heavy. "I wasn't going to tell you unless I had proof. A few weeks ago, I saw someone at the gas station. He looked just like Mark. Same walk. Same way he ran a hand through his hair. I thought I was losing my mind." My stomach turned. "And you didn't think to tell me?" "You were finally healing," she said softly. "I didn't want to rip the wound open again. But Diane, if he's alive, then why fake his death?" That was the question clawing at me. And now, with the envelope in front of me, I had no choice but to face it. The next day, I left work early and drove to the bank where Mark's accounts had once been held. Sitting across from the clerk, I felt my palms sweat as I slid my ID across the counter. "I just need to confirm something about my late husband's accounts." The clerk typed, paused, and frowned. "These accounts aren't closed." My body went rigid. "What do you mean?" "There was a death certificate." He shook his head. "Activity was recorded last week. A withdrawal in cash." The room spun. It wasn't just phone calls. Mark was alive. He had money. He was moving. I stumbled out of the bank, clutching my bag, the air suddenly too sharp in my lungs. Questions swarmed. If Mark had faked his death, who was buried in that coffin? And why come back now? When I reached my car, another envelope waited under the wiper blade. This one was thicker. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a photograph. Me, standing at my own window the night before, phone pressed to my ear. On the back, a single sentence was scrawled. "Stop digging, or you'll be next." The photograph trembled in my grip, the words on the back searing into me. "Stop digging, or you'll be next." For a moment, fear anchored me. But as I stared at my own image, captured through my window like prey, something inside me hardened. Whoever was watching wanted me silent. And maybe, for the first time, I realized I had nothing left to lose. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I drove to Claire's, the note and photograph hidden in my bag. She opened the door, concern etched across her face. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she whispered. I stepped past her, voice steady. "Not a ghost. Mark." Her eyes widened, but before she could respond, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct, I answered. "Diane." Mark's voice filled the line again, low and urgent. "You shouldn't have gone to the bank." My throat tightened. "You're alive." A pause. I had to disappear. I owed people, dangerous people. Faking my death was the only way out. I clenched the phone so hard my hand shook. "And you let me bury an empty coffin? You let me suffer, Let me believe you were gone, while you ran from your own mess. I was protecting you, he said quickly. If they knew I had family, they would have come after you. I laughed bitterly, the sound sharp in my chest. They already have. The silence on the other end told me everything. He hadn't expected me to be threatened. He hadn't expected me to dig. You're lying, Mark. You didn't fake your death to protect me. You did it to save yourself. His voice cracked, defensive now. You don't understand. I understand enough. My voice was steel. You chose to vanish. You chose betrayal over honesty. And you don't get to call that love. I ended the call before he could answer. My hand trembled, but my chest felt lighter. Claire touched my arm gently. What will you do? I exhaled, long and steady. What I should have done a year ago. Cut him out, for good. That night, I gathered every reminder of Mark, old photos, clothes, even the folded funeral program, and packed them into a box. I didn't burn them, didn't destroy them. I set them in the trash and closed the lid, my fingers lingering just long enough to feel the weight of release. As I walked back inside, my phone buzzed again. Mark's number flashed on the screen, persistent, demanding. I stared at it, the glow lighting my face in the dark hallway. For the first time, I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel grief. I felt choice. The phone kept ringing, the sound echoing in the silence. Slowly, deliberately, I pressed block. The screen went dark. I stood there, steady, the quiet wrapping around me like armor. Whatever Mark's truth was, it wasn't mine to carry anymore. I had buried him once. Now, finally, I buried him for good. And as the silence settled, one thought remained. If Mark was still running, if they were still watching, let them. I wasn't the woman they thought I was. Not anymore.